Hello everyone, this is Paris. Welcome to Budgetholics. In today's video, we're going to go over the 5 best dividend stocks to buy in June 2021. If you're retiring and you want a list of dividend stocks to invest in, then this is the video for you. Also, if you want to just build an additional source of income, dividend stocks are a great way to go. Just a small disclaimer here, I'm not a financial advisor, and this video is for information purposes only. These stocks are just my picks, in which I'm going to be dollar cost averaging throughout June. If you're looking for our previous month's dividend stocks, you can find them on this playlist, for which I'll leave a link here and down in the description. Hitting the like and subscribe buttons greatly helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And this is the only thing I ask. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. Number 5 on the list is Cisco Systems, ticker symbol CSCO. Cisco was also present in our February dividend list. They have 3 main segments: infrastructure platforms, which makes up around 50% of their revenue, applications, which makes up 30% of their revenue, and security, making up 20% of the revenue. Cisco is viewed as a value stock, hence it's tied with economic recovery. In essence, Cisco's outlook depends on the spending for cloud computing infrastructure as well as corporate telecommunications networks. As remote work has become more mainstream, corporate servers and corporate data centers are starting to become obsolete. Companies are gradually mitigating to other platforms such as AWS, as most people are working from home. Hence, an on-premises data center makes no sense anymore. This is why Cisco is aiming to build hybrid networks for corporate clients, which will utilize on-premise data centers and cloud computing infrastructure. This will facilitate existing corporate clients as well as potentially new clients to migrate from an on-premise model to a cloud-based model. There are 2 ways a company can invest in innovation: via investing in internal R&D or by acquiring other companies. The latter is what Cisco has been going for through a number of acquisitions, the latest of which are Immobile, which sells cloud computing communication software, and Thousand Eyes, a networking intelligence company. A large opportunity for Cisco is data center upgrades. The existing infrastructure of data centers needs to be updated. The so-called internet cloud is made up of warehouse-sized data centers. And in those data centers, a number of companies can house their corporate data without needing on-premise infrastructure. If Cisco can give corporate clients a cost-effective way of transitioning to the cloud and further keep on building on a subscription-based model for companies, then Cisco has a great potential. Cisco currently trades at $52.80. They have a market cap of $223 billion and a PE ratio of 21.87. Cisco has a payout ratio of 59.92%, which is right between the 40 to 60% payout ratio we're usually looking for. They've been growing their dividend for 7 years, and they have a 5-year annualized dividend growth rate of 74.39%. Their current dividend yield is 2.8%. Although not by a large margin, Cisco has been consistently beating analysts' earnings estimates for the past 4 quarters. Moreover, the current analyst recommendation rating is that of a buy, as the company is trading below the average analyst's price target of $55.35 per share. Number 4 on the list is Johnson & Johnson, ticker symbol J&J. J&J was also present in our December and March dividend lists. They make immunology, oncology, and neuroscience drugs that make up 3/4 of J&J's total drug sales. Moreover, sales in all of those units grew. J&J, along with Pfizer and Moderna, are currently the only US-based FDA authorized company to sell the illness vaccine in the US. I don't know what's going on with the YouTube algorithm, so I will refrain from naming the disease. One of the main differences for consumers for this vaccine is that it's a one-shot vaccine. And the one-shot vaccine is becoming increasingly popular in Europe given the recent European shortages in vaccine production. J&J is also exporting the vaccine in Africa, and it has been tested against the African variant. Currently, Johnson & Johnson trades at $169.40. They have a market cap of $445.7 billion and a PE ratio of 29.90. J&J currently has a high payout ratio of 71.38%. So this might be a risk factor for this company. J&J is one of the favorite companies for dividend investors. They've been growing their dividend for 59 years, making them a dividend king, at a 5-year annualized dividend growth rate of 34.82%. The current dividend yield is 2.51%. For the past 4 quarters, J&J has been beating analysts' earning predictions. The stock is currently a buy as it's trading at $169, which is almost $20 below the average analyst's price target of $186.65 per share. At number 3, we have Intel Corporation, ticker symbol INTC. INTC is a new company we're presenting in this list. As you will see from the price graph, I already have a position in INTC, which I'm slowly building on. For those of you who don't already know, Intel is a semiconductor company who's had a rough of the past years. They lost their partnership with Microsoft, which made them a market leader. Intel was the world's number 1 semiconductor vendor in 2020. It had a 15.6% market share, compared with 12.5% for number 2 vendor Samsung. Investors sold off Intel stock last summer after the company disclosed the delay in the production of 7nm scale processors. Its shares declined 21% in the week after the news. The delay wasn't the only bad news for Intel stock. Apple's M1 processor was another dent in Intel's armor. The fact that Apple would be now manufacturing its own processors was a major hit to Intel. Microsoft also announced that it's designing its own chips for data center servers, as well as Surface PCs. However, on February, Pat Gelsinger was appointed as Intel's CEO. He vowed to stay the course and focus on improving Intel's chip manufacturing operations. In terms of manufacturing plans, Intel made 2 major announcements. Firstly, it announced plans to spend $20 billion to build 2 new semiconductor foundry plants in Arizona. Foundries produce customly ordered chips for other companies, and this is Taiwan Semiconductors is leading. Intel has outlined the plan to become a major provider of foundry capacity in the US and Europe to serve consumers globally. Also, it announced that it's spending $3.5 billion to expand its manufacturing operations in New Mexico. The investment is focused on advanced semiconductor packaging technologies. Now, the shortage in computer chips is a global problem. TSM is Intel's main competitor at the moment. Intel has the advantage of being based in the US, whereas 2/3 of global semiconductor manufacturing takes place in Taiwan. In terms of price, Intel is trading at $57.17 per share. In terms of PE ratio, Intel is relatively cheap, as it's currently trading at 12.82. They have a payout ratio of 30.06%, which is below the 40% mark we're usually looking in, and I'm personally okay with them investing this extra 10% into production, and they have a 5-year annualized dividend growth rate of 37.50%. They've been growing their dividend for 1 year, and the current yield is 2.43%. They beat analysts' estimates in Q2 and Q4 of 2020 and Q1 of 2021. The current recommendation for Yahoo Finance is a buy, with the stock trading below the average analyst's price target of $64.87 per share. At number 3 on the list, we've got Verizon Communications, ticker symbol VZ. Verizon was also present in our February and April lists. There's no way of talking about Verizon without talking about what happened with AT&T as well. You see, those companies are often compared, and usually investors decide whether to invest on one or another, at least in the short term. Verizon and AT&T were both part of the original AT&T. Previously, it was a bit hard to compare those companies with one another. Verizon was sharing Verizon Wireless with Vodafone until they bought Vodafone out in 2014 and later bought AOL and Yahoo's internet assets. Recently, it agreed to sell 90% of those assets to Apollo Global Management for $4.25 billion, taking a loss at the initial purchase. AT&T sold a part of DirecTV earlier this year, and it announced that it will be merging Warner Media with Discovery to completely exit the media market. If you take everything we said into account, I think Verizon will perform better than AT&T. Firstly, they were much moderate with their acquisitions. Secondly, Verizon currently has a much lower exposure to the pay TV market than AT&T. Thirdly, Verizon is still a market leader when it comes to wireless carriers in the US compared to AT&T, who lost second place to T-Mobile. Verizon's weakest segment was its media business, which has been offloaded. This means they can focus on profit-making projects such as 5G. Until AT&T can offload their existing media business, they will not be able to fully compete with Verizon on the same markets. Moreover, after the AT&T spin-off, they announced that they will be cutting their dividend, which is further going to hurt the stock, since this is mostly a stock that dividend investors purchase, not investors in general, or growth investors. In terms of price, Verizon is currently trading at $56.5 per share. They have a market cap of $233.87 billion. They are trading at a P ratio of 12.38. Their current payout ratio is 54.65%. They have a 5-year annualized dividend growth rate of 11.63%, and they've been growing their dividend for 14 consecutive years. The current yield is 4.44%. Verizon has been beating earnings estimates for the past 4 quarters, and the current Yahoo recommendation is that of a buy. The stock is trading below the average analyst's price target of $60.27 per share. At number 1, we have Annaly Capital Management, ticker symbol NLY. NLY is also a new stock in the list. They're a mortgage REIT, which means that they're a company that's looking to borrow money at lower short-term rates, which it will use to purchase assets such as mortgage-backed securities with higher long-term yields. NLY's profit comes from the so-called spread of interest rates between high long-term yield and low short-term borrowing rate. This is also known as the net interest margin. They're investing in financing residential and commercial properties. We're now during the early stages of economic recovery. During this stage, long-term treasury yields usually rise, as has happened recently. So the profit margin, or the net interest margin for Annaly Capital Management, is bound to rise during this period. However, NLY only buys mortgage-backed securities that are backed by the federal government in the event of a default. The plus side is that since those securities are so well protected, it can use the leverage to its advantage to pump up profits. The minus side is that these securities have a significantly lower yield than non-federally backed mortgage-backed securities. NLY is currently trading at $9.27 per share. They have a market cap of $12.96 billion. It's the smallest company in the list, and the cheapest, as they're trading at a P ratio of 2.99. They have a payout ratio of 28.66% and the 5-year annualized dividend growth rate of minus 24.17% since they've had to do some dividend cuts over the past years. However, they've been growing their dividend for the last year, and they're currently paying a dividend yield of 9.49%. Moreover, they've beat analysts' earnings estimates for the past 4 quarters, and analysts' recommendation right now is a buy. NLY is trading just 1 cent below the average analyst's price target of $9.28 per share. This was the list of the 5 best dividend stocks to buy now. I'd love to hear your thoughts and what dividend stocks you're investing in. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, as this helps me immensely with the YouTube algorithm, and share it with anyone you think might find it useful. Until we meet again, don't stop investing. Cheers.